the environment, we're sitting here recording this where many folks are on lockdown or asked not to leave their homes as much as possible. So what are some exercise programs or tips for exercises that folks can recommend for their patients in this challenging environment that we're living and working in at the moment?
Well, I think we are so lucky right now that we have the technology that we have. So I would say that, I mean, I get, even during regular rehab with patients, during regular times, I'll get updates from them on their phone. They'll send me a picture of the knee or a text or something and saying what they're doing, right? But we can do that really formally now. You could probably even do a Zoom class where you have, a whole bunch of if your patients are all in sort of the same time post-op, you can be doing some things with them. So I think the early part of rehab is kind of a little bit easier to do at home without a lot of equipment, but the latter part is harder. I mean, you can do isometrics really easily. You can do squats. What's hard is to get that open chain quad exercise. So I think resistance bands, backpacks with weights in them, anything you can do to make a resistance for them to be able to do it, and then guide them through. There are tons of right now. If you're on social media, you'll see that there are a lot of therapists who are making all different kinds of exercise videos and exercise progressions that they're actually just laying out their libraries of them for people to be able to use. And so I would suggest that you go on. If you look at the people who follow me on Twitter, there's a ton of them that are doing this kind of stuff. And I really appreciate what they're doing. I mean, it's, again, they're just making it available to people. So, and I'm always amazed when I look at these, how imaginative these wonderful clinicians are. The things that they come up with, I wouldn't even think that I had in my house, but of course I do. And it's to all of our patients' benefits.
Absolutely. And I want to give a bit of a shout out to Christina Lee at the moment. So Christina's at University of Alberta doing her PhD there. Yeah. She's also been doing some fantastic Twitter posts on group exercises. Yeah. Her program's called FAST, F-A-S-T. So if you search for Christina Yeg Physio, I think. Oh, I'm sorry, Christina. I should know your Twitter handle off the top of my head. If you can find search for Christina on Twitter, you will find her. I'm pretty sure she's Yeg Physio. But she's posting some really cool stuff at the moment. Yep. So she's an example. But as you say, there are many others who are doing really cool stuff. And our community, how cool is our community? We help
everybody's sharing. Everybody's sharing. I'm going to find Christina's thing for you.
So I think we've got 1 or 2 minutes left. Yep. And I'm thinking, let's start to wrap up. Yep. So we started off in the decision-making process. We talked about how ACL management, decisions for surgery or no surgery is
YEG Physio, Claire.
I was right. YEG Physio.
Y-E-G Physio, one word.
And the YEG comes from Edmonton Airport Code. I do remember that. So we started off talking about the decision-making process and about how you are talking with athletes, that certainly this early period of trialing some really good training to see whether people are going to be able to cope, quote unquote, with this knee injury. Then we moved on to early phase rehab. Open chain quads exercises are fine.
Thumbs up. Yep.
Yeah, load the quads within the patient's tolerance. Yep. Then we moved on to neuromuscular electrical stimulation, and I know that you're a big proponent of that. Yep. So if
stem the quads, load the quads, stem the quads.
Yes, quads are king or queen.
Yep, queen.
Depending on your preference. Yep. Then we went on to, in our middle phase where you're transitioning back to running, some really great tips about making sure that knee is quiet, getting quad strength before you start to then progress with some walk running on the treadmill, and then moving on through the progression back to running. And again, quads, strength.
Yeah.
I think if we can underline one thing from this hour session, it's really quad strength.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to get that word out. Thanks for helping.
Pleasure. Then, so in our late phase, this is that progression, that challenging, or what can be a challenging time, but certainly some great tips on gradually helping that athlete progress from more restricted to unrestricted. And then you shared all your great tips on return to sport testing, return to sport test batteries, this constant question of time versus criterion. I think we can safely say that
it's both.
Biology matters.
Yeah, it's both.
Yeah. So I think, Lynn, this has been a fantastic hour. I want to thank you so much for sharing your wealth of knowledge from the clinic and from research with our community.
That's great. And Claire, thank you for making this happen. This was is a bright spot in a very challenging time for all of us.
No, it's a pleasure. So thanks to everyone for joining. The link to this hour-long chat will be available shortly on our Facebook page. We'll also post the link on our other social media channels, so you'll be able to find it. Please share it with colleagues and friends and family members who might have missed this session. There's lots of great information there. Please tell your friends and family and colleagues if you found this helpful, and help others to find us. If you go to Slido, you'll get to a poll. We'd really love your input. Please rate us, give us a rating. How helpful was this session? It helps us to refine what we do in our next JOSPT Asks sessions. And our next session is going to be same time, same place, next Thursday. We've got Sarah Haig from Entropy Physio is going to be our special guest, talking about all things pelvic health, pelvic physiotherapy. So please join us 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, next Thursday, the 2nd of April. You can go to Slido now and start posting your questions. Thanks very much. And thanks, Lynn.